Hi everyone, this is Luke Havard. Today I want to record a quick video talking about lifestyle design and specifically my experience and my journey for the last 10 years building a lifestyle business around the life that I really want for myself and my family. So I've been working for myself and have been really designing my life and career so that I can optimize my experience for the last 12 years. In 2012, I was unfortunately made redundant from a non-profit or a social enterprise that I was running. The funding ran out due to, I guess, all the challenges from the recession that started to filter down into the non-profit sector. And I found myself without funding for that year and subsequently had to scramble to figure out what I was going to do. So what we did is I just started doing consulting. I didn't want to do it, but I really didn't have much of an option. And so from that moment onwards, I was working remotely. And I realized very quickly that I was far more productive and just had a better quality of life without the commute, without having to go to an office, without all the distractions. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to meet people and to socialize, but for me, I just didn't perform that well when I was in an office and, talking around the water cooler. You just get distracted and you end up just not really being as productive as possible. And you waste a lot of time, sometimes hours of the day traveling, commuting. And I realized that I could have that time back and I could do what I want with that time. Either I could spend it working, I could spend it out walking my dog, I could spend it with my daughter and my wife, but either way, I suddenly realized that my life was even better now that I was on my own. And the other thing that I started to do was I started to say, well, okay, looking at how much I can earn and the time it takes me to earn that money, how can I live my life and structure it in a way where I can really have autonomy of the time that I spend and, where I do the work. So I realized that I was doing work online. I was working remotely with, originally it was companies just in the UK, but then I started, using the internet. I was quite an early adopter on Twitter and various other platforms, including LinkedIn. And I started getting opportunities and work from those platforms. And they were, companies and individuals all over the world. So I realized that I could be working from the UK with people anywhere in the world and earning really good money. And then I realized, okay, well, what if I didn't want to work from the UK? As long as I can make the time zone work, I can be anywhere I want. So this is something we started working on. I would be, we'd schedule a trip or a holiday or a vacation, and then I would, continue to do some work with those clients if I wanted to whilst I was away. And my work wasn't disrupted. In fact, my productivity improved tenfold because, I didn't want to be spending all my day working whilst I was away, but I could, in fact, just do the same work very quickly, or I could just structure it where I did like an hour of, conference calls that day, and then I was done. So this is something that I have been doing, for the last 10 years. Well, longer actually. It'd probably be around 11 years now. And now, as you can see, I'm just out walking. I'm working today, but I've already done some calls, some client calls, and now I've got time to go out and walk and spend time in nature and just think and recharge and make videos like this. And I think at this point in my life, what I'm really doing is I'm focused on lifestyle design. So one of the other things that we have done over the recent years is we moved from the UK to Germany. During the pandemic, again, I was remote, so nothing had changed for me. My whole lifestyle was the same. Everything was the same for me, except now, most of the world were doing what I'd been doing for the last sort of 8 years. So what I decided is, well, why don't we move somewhere new? So we looked at places we could go. And as it happened, we had family here in Germany. So we decided to move to Germany. I thought it's not too much of a leap, from the UK. And so we did. So we've now been here for over 2.5 years, and the quality of life hasn't changed. I still get to spend time doing things that I want to do, working with people that I want to work with, and I still get the time to travel. So last year, we actually spent 5 weeks in Colombia, and I actually did take the whole of that time off, mostly. We did a few calls here and there, but it was really just downtime for us. And we traveled all over Colombia and my work wasn't disrupted. I came back and picked up from where I left off. And so this is something that is just such a liberating experience, an opportunity. And I think far too few people, they put constraints on themselves based on, well, I can only do this work in person, or I have to be located in a certain country or certain time zone. And so this video is really here to, I guess, inspire you and challenge you to look into your situation and decide, is this really what you want? Do you really want to be stuck in a job or a career that you don't enjoy? Or do you want to be stuck in a country that is maybe too expensive for you and you can experience a better quality of life, maybe continuing to do the work that you're already doing for the company you're already working for, but in a different country? So that would be my first thing I'd like to challenge you on and inspire you to think about. And so the next stage for us is we're now moving to Colombia, South America. We're moving to a place called Medellin. That's I think the second largest city in Colombia. We've spent a lot of time in Colombia, so I am familiar with the country. I know how it works. It's a very different culture to Germany and to the UK, but I love the culture. My wife is Colombian, so we already have that experience. I've been going there since 2006, so I'm very familiar with the culture, but obviously living there is a very different thing to just traveling there for, say, 6 weeks at a time. However, because I do a lot of my work with US-based companies, I'm going to be on the same time zone, but now we're going to experience a real lifestyle arbitrage, because we already live a very good life here. We have a 5-bedroom house. We don't really miss out on anything. However, the cost of living here is going up a lot, as it is in the UK, as it is in the US. And I just said, you know what, for the kind of for the income that we currently earn, which is, it's pretty good, we can live significantly better. And in fact, if I wanted to take 6 months off and do absolutely nothing, it would not affect our lifestyle whatsoever by living in Colombia. So this is the next phase for us. We're going to move to Colombia in about 3 weeks from now. And I'm going to continue to do the work and to do what I do there, but for a substantially better quality of life. Ultimately, I am actually a family man, so I've got a wife and a daughter. So this is not some, single 25-year-old doing this. I wish I was still 25. However, you can really build your life and your career, and you can design it in the way that you want, so that you can optimize your experience, so that you can have more time, so you can have more autonomy and freedom, and so you can make good money but without selling your soul. I do have some good friends that work in finance. They work in private equity. I've had experience in private equity myself. I currently advise and help people to buy and sell companies. And so, I know people that work in this industry, and they work all the time. They work 70, 80 hour weeks. They're exhausted. They barely have time for themselves. They can't go to the gym. They could never take a walk like this during the middle of the day. This could just never happen for them. They're usually stuck in some dingy office in the city. Even if it's a nice office, they're stuck in their office. They've got golden handcuffs on. They can't, go anywhere. They can't just, decide spontaneously to take a week off and travel. That could never happen for them. And I don't think that's right. I know that that's not what they want to do. I know that's not the experience they want, but that's the experience they've got, because, at least in their mind, they don't believe there's another option for them, and they are trading, money for their life. And I'm not prepared to do that. So, I really want this video to be a challenge and, I guess, a call to action for some people that are watching this. If you are someone that has a great job, maybe a 6-figure plus salary, maybe even less than that, maybe you're earning $60,000, $70,000 a year, but you feel that you're trapped, like the job is actually more of a prison cell. Or maybe you have a business, and maybe you've built this successful business and everybody thinks you're successful, but you're trapped. The prison is a business. And I work and advise many businesses that are in this situation themselves, where they've built this great business. They make sometimes millions in revenue a year. However, they can't leave the business. They can't really take much time off. The business takes so much time of their life that they really feel like they are a prisoner to this business. Whatever your situation is, my challenge to you is to reassess how you live your life. Is this really what you want? Do you really need to work in this company? Do you really need to, I guess, handcuff yourself to your desk every single day? Do you need to work into the evening? Do you need to have to get up early to make money? Or could you live life in a different way? One of the things you could do straight away is have a conversation with your boss and just say, look, is there any chance that I could trial working remotely if you're in an office, and trial working, from home for a while, if they don't already offer that to you? If they already give you an opportunity to work remotely, maybe you could see if it was possible to work remotely from a different country. Maybe you could work remotely from a country that has a similar time zone to the one that you're currently working in, but has the lifestyle arbitrage effect. So that means, with the currency you're currently being paid in, whether that be dollars, pounds, or euro, you get a much higher quality of life based on the currency. So for example, in Colombia, I think the dollar, it's about $1 to 4,000 peso. I think it's actually more than that in terms of peso, but let's just round it off to 4. So you've got a 4-to-1 arbitrage there. And it's really a powerful concept because your dollars or your pounds or your euros go significantly further than the peso does. So when you're getting paid in our currencies, the lifestyle you can afford is much better, and it just takes a lot of pressure off you. So that would be my first sort of challenge to you. Can you explore working remotely, or explore working remotely from a different country? And that would go for business owners too. Is it possible for you to do that and have your expenses, your lifestyle expenses, so that you can enjoy a better quality of life? I would go one step further than that. Is it possible for you then, if you could do that, if you didn't want to work so much, you didn't want to kind of trade your time for money all the time and not have enough time to spend time with your wife and your children, for example, is it possible that you could either half your working hours and live in a different country and experience that lifestyle arbitrage? Because this is something that I can afford to do now. Living in Colombia, if I want to take time off, or if I wanted to work half as much, I can. I honestly don't work really long hours as it is right now. I probably work 30 to 40 hours a week. I could definitely work 10 to 20 hours a week in Colombia and still live really, really well, and it wouldn't affect my lifestyle whatsoever. So is that something that you could do? Possibly change careers to a remote job that allows you to work in any time zone you want, but you may be paid a lot less. Is that something you consider? Is that possible for you? Or if you haven't already got a business, could you go out on your own and become a freelancer, or start a small company, a company of one to begin with, where you get that lifestyle arbitrage? This is something that I want to really, challenge you to think about, because life is so much more than making money. You can always make more money, but you can't always get your time back. And that's something that I think a lot of us take for granted. We assume that there'll always be more time, that we'll make more time next year, we'll spend more time with our kids next year, we'll take a vacation next year, or we'll take that world trip that we've been thinking about next year or in the next 5 years. And honestly, that time isn't promised to us. There's no guarantee that something won't happen along the way, that we won't get sick, that we won't lose that job that we put on a pedestal, that we worship. So my caution would be, don't put off something that you've been thinking about till next year. Don't prioritize your work and pursuit of making money, and I guess the pursuit just to provide, because maybe we live beyond our means, and we our expenses are too high, don't put that off. Think about what you could do instead if you had more time and more freedom, and I guess more money based on the location that you live in. So anyway, if this has been inspiring to you, if this has been thought-provoking, if this is, I guess, even triggered you, feel free to drop me a comment. Feel free to drop me a DM if this is something that you'd like my help with. I've been advising businesses and executives for a long time now, mostly on how to, I guess, increase impact and grow revenues and profits and scale and exit companies. However, this is something that I'm really passionate about. This is something that I've been, building for myself for a long time. And if this is something that you'd like my help to replicate, then I'd love to have a conversation with you and see how I can help you. So drop me a DM or leave me a comment or even send me an email, and I look forward to hearing from you.